Hey, welcome back to the show. This is a fun topic because it's all about getting out of the funk. Hey, I might be talking from some personal experience here because I currently have PMS. Now, I don't know if this is a time for you that you tend to get into a funk, but this podcast will 100% help you with the mindset around being a little bit lower, like not feeling your best. Of course, this comes up many times in life, so it's applicable across the board. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let me get comfortable because I have found that it really is about the vibration. Okay, so let's just talk through this because the name of this is how to get through a funk without lowering your vibration. Now, if you are a student of the laws of the universe, or if you listen to this podcast, then you know that our goal, or rather our intention, is to maintain a vibration where we're living in a way that we are attracting what we desire. As we recognize that we are co-creating our reality, which means that we take responsibility for the part that we are contributing. And as we are contributing, sometimes that doesn't mean that we're always in a good mood, but what it means is that you're actually vibrating at a certain frequency. So you can feel this in your body. I want you just to tune in right now and really feel your body. Feel how when you tap into the inner part of your being and you feel your hands, you feel that your hands are on your body and also are your body, and that you could feel this like sense of aliveness inside of them. You could think about your legs or your feet. I just tend to think about my hands because they're far enough away from me that I can really feel, oh yeah, they're alive. They're alive. And so in the aliveness is the frequency. And so we often talk about, okay, it's our feelings create the vibration creates the frequency is the language of the universe. And so we kind of think, well, we can control our reality through our feelings. Now, there is a lot that's so powerful around feelings and choosing them and creating emotional mastery. It's a big portion of what I teach in my Embody program, specifically for highly sensitive women, because we tend to feel more, and then we tend to judge more. And then we tend to have this compound effect of all the feelings that we're judging instead of feeling. Oh my goodness, right? But there is a difference between your feeling and the vibrational frequency that you are in. So recognizing, like, this is the hand thing I'm talking about, that like your body has a frequency, the cells are vibrating, and that your state of being, and your state of being includes your emotional body and your feelings, has a huge it is a huge indicator of what your frequency is going to be, but it's not constant, right? Like you don't have the same feelings all the time. Sometimes they're really kind of crappy and you're not loving it. And then sometimes you're over the moon. And while, yes, emotional mastery or embodiment, because the definition that I use for embodiment is intentional, sustained feelings. And that's like really when we can create intentional, sustained feeling, we are in the vibration that we desire. So what happens when you're not in those feelings? Does that mean that your vibration just takes a big nosedive and everything sucks? I mean, you get to decide this. So it is possible to be in the awareness that you are in a funk, or that it's just like you're having negative, a loop of negative thoughts. You are starting to really just like go down a rabbit hole. Well, this doesn't have to mean that you completely just surrender to that. You surrender, of course, because like surrendering is obviously going to be attached to the awareness. You have to accept, But it's not as though, and I guess what I mean when I say surrender in this case is more of like indulge. So it's not as though we're going to just indulge. Oh, yeah, I don't feel good. Oh, I hate everything. Oh, I'm mad at everyone. So what I've noticed is that if we have kind of some guidelines to go through, then we can get through the funk without it becoming a sustained feeling. Then we're not actually embodying the negativity. We're just moving through it. And the sustained feelings that we're embodying create our reality. They create our vibration. So just recognizing that it's what you do most of the time that matters most. So when you find yourself in a funk or a bad mood or PMS, like me right now, I want you to think about a few things. So first thing is just really not to make any decisions. Like don't make big decisions for your life when you are in an emotional state. This is just awesome advice, okay? I just want to get that straight off the bat. But then also to say, I'm going to give you 3 no's, like hard stops. I want you to stop these things right now. And if you could focus on just getting a handle on these 3 things, then you will set yourself up to move through the funk with more grace and ease and love for yourself. Okay. And then I'm going to give you 3 big yeses. So 3 hard stops and 3 big yeses. I want you to write these things down. And next time you're in a funk, be like, what did Jaya say? Oh, I'm finding myself here. So you got to have the awareness. The awareness comes in and you don't, like I said, it's funny to say surrender because almost always we want to surrender. But what I'm saying is you don't, perpetuate the feeling. You address it and you notice, and then you don't do these things. Okay, here they are. Number 1, no comparing yourself to other people. If you are getting triggered by being on social media, get off of social media. Like abort mission. Because listen, social media, this is people's highlight reel. And within that, that means that it's not when they're in a funk. Most people are not getting on social media showing you their funkiness. And if they are, you're probably not following them because that's not what you want, right? You want to be inspired. So if it's not inspiring for you to see people in their perfection, then you got to get out of there because comparing yourself to other people when you're in a funk will lower your vibration. It will lower your vibration, and then you'll just start compounding evidence. So number 1, you've got to stop comparing yourself and acting like you're wrong for feeling how you feel. Number 2, this is really huge and really, really good. Stop convincing yourself that now equals forever. Stop convincing yourself that now equals forever. So this is not forever. Just because you're experiencing something in this moment, this too shall pass. As you know, with every single thing that has ever happened in your life, has anything ever not passed? So convincing yourself that now equals forever, or like that how you feel right now means any more than just how you feel, this is so huge. I was literally just doing this earlier today. Like, I'm like, okay, great. Now I don't know how to get back into feminine flow. Oh my gosh. Like I can't ever sell anything again. Like all of this just doom and gloom. And I love how Eckhart Tolle talks about your pain body. Our pain body is activated when we have PMS. Also, it's activated when you're comparing yourself to other people and you're convincing yourself that right now equals forever, because that's just a big load of fear. So the pain body is going to try to convince you of these things, and you've got to have the awareness to recognize it's not forever. There's no way this is going to last forever. Okay. So the last hard stop is stop trying to find evidence that you suck. Now, this is the thing that will compound, because, oh my gosh, you're finding the evidence. You're like, oh, I didn't do that. Let me give you an example. Today, I went to the gym. I literally went to the gym, walked upstairs, did some warm-ups, and left. I was like, I'm just not feeling this today. I don't want to put myself through a hard workout. I don't want to put myself through any workout. I needed to go grocery shopping, and I was really enjoying the podcast I was listening to. So I just went grocery shopping and listened to the podcast. And it would be so easy to be like, oh my gosh, I didn't get anything done. Then what happened is I was going to the supermarket for certain things. Like I need decaf coffee, we needed cheese, and I didn't get them. I was so just wrapped up in my own world listening to this podcast, I hardly remembered to get any of the things I went there for. And I got home, it was 9:30 in the morning. I had taken Ava to school and then had this sort of like, you could call it like an epic fail, right? Like I didn't really actually do any of the stuff that I set out to do. And so my husband was like, how did it go? I'm like, and he's like, did you get cheese? And I'm like, and he's like, what were you doing? And I was like, I don't know. I was just listening to a podcast. And so here would have been a time to create some evidence that I suck. Like, oh, I'm not even good at this. I've been slacking on my workouts, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, fuck the stories. Okay. We cannot turn a moment into a story. This moment is not a story all on its own. You need many moments to become a story. So just don't find evidence that you suck. And if you find yourself doing it, you gotta just stop. This is a hard stop. You stop. Stop right there. Stop. Stop sign. Stop. Okay. What do you choose? What do you choose? Love, kindness. Jaya, you obviously had different needs this morning. You weren't meant to go to the gym and go grocery shopping and be super productive all before 9:30 a.m. That wasn't what was on your heart. That's not what your body needed. That's not what you needed. Okay. So instead of finding the evidence that you suck, ask yourself what you need. Oh my gosh. So good. So let's get into the yeses. Here are the yeses. Yes, do something nourishing for yourself and that feels feminine, because you need to get into the receiving mode. When you're in the funk, you start to close things out. You're like believing that you don't have any support, believing that no one is there for you. All these like shutdown mechanisms start to kick in, and we're trying to protect ourselves from what we are in ultimately, but you're already in it. So you need to do what it takes to nourish yourself and get into feminine. So getting into the feminine of being open to receiving, allowing the universe to show up and guide you, allowing yourself to be in more flow, because we start to try to control everything when we get into the funk. So do something nourishing and feminine. Also, yes, get out of your head. Get out of your head and into your heart. So what do you do for this? You need to have practices around this. Maybe you need to have a reminder on your phone that says, get out of your head and into your heart. A beautiful way to do this is to tap into your breath, to come into your breath, release some of the stress, take both hands, place them on your heart. Do you feel the shift? Okay, so getting out of your head means actually getting out of your head, coming back into your heart and that love that you have for yourself, because that's where it's easy. That's where the flow is. That's where the ease is. And it's okay if you still feel funky. Like, I'm not saying that these things are going to just wash it away. That's okay. But it's about what we're focusing on is keeping our vibration where we want it to be without sabotaging it. And that means that we just need to show up for ourselves inside the funk. Okay. All right. So last one is calling on support. So really having that support network is so huge. And you know what? I'll be honest with you. I am still building this because I've had so many changes over the last really 10 years, but really the last 3-4 years. And finding close girlfriends that are able to support you and like really see you where you are on your path, I have found not that it's difficult, but just that it takes energy and it takes focus. Um, I was watching a video of this guy who is a reggae artist, and he was talking about how he has this reggae show. And he was talking about that he was going to give away tickets to the reggae show. And the way that he said that you could enter to win was to tag your friends. And he said this, he said, tag 20 of your friends. And I just died laughing. I was like, 20 friends? Who has 20 friends? Like, this is insane. But it really got me thinking, it is crazy. We just don't have the same opportunities that we had when we were younger to make friends. And then we outgrow relationships and we change drastically and we go through all this personal development and people just fall away. If you haven't listened to my Losing Friends and Being Disliked as You Grow episode, you should check that out. It might be in the 30s, somewhere in there, because this is real. So it really takes consciously creating those friendships and knowing that when you show up in vulnerability and you say, hey, I'm just like really working on getting back into my heart, but I'm also sort of stuck in the fact that I'm finding evidence that I suck. Help, like give me a pep talk. I love spiritual pep talks. Like I am a great friend for that. And I would feel honored if somebody who I cared about reached out to me and asked me for that. So knowing that when you are in need of support and you ask for it, it does build the friendship. Like it is a foundation for the friendship to grow and then opens the doorway for you to be that person for them. So this is such a beautiful opportunity. Do you feel that there is someone right now that you could ask this of? Maybe you're going to do that right after this podcast. So to recap, this is about getting through the funk without sabotaging your vibration. And what that means is that you don't allow yourself to go into the rabbit hole of the feelings around the funk. You take care of yourself. You stop comparing yourself to other people. You stop convincing yourself that right now is forever. You stop trying to find evidence that you suck, and instead you do something nourishing and feminine. And you get out of your head and into your heart. You take those few breaths, you put your hands on your heart, you just sink back in, and you call somebody for support. Maybe it's your partner, maybe it's a new friend, maybe it's an old friend. And this is the thing, the caveat about the support. I want this to be somebody who will remind you of your greatness and not commiserate with you. If you have people in your life who commiserate the low moments with you, you got to stop that right away, because that's just a cycle that will lower your vibration and that will bring you down. So we don't want that. I'm not telling you to ditch your friends, but what I am saying is that when you feel like you're low, you don't need somebody to also be low, and you don't need them to bring you down. It's about reminding you to come back to yourself, reminding you to come back to love like I'm doing right now. Maybe I'm that friend. Maybe you'll listen to this again next time you have PMS and you're like, oh yeah, oh my gosh, I need to be reminded of this all the time. We all do, because the nature, or rather the conditioning, is for us to just be hard on ourselves and think that we need to be perfect all the time, and to think that when we're in a funk, that means X, Y, and Z about us. And now we've ruined everything, and we just have a flair for the drama, So getting out of that pattern and into a new pattern is crucial, especially when you're on a path of expansion and raising your consciousness and your vibration. So I hope this was helpful for you. Please let me know. You can find me on Instagram, the Jaya Rose, and I would just love to know. I hope you're loving the name change, the She Rise podcast. I would so appreciate if you have somebody who you feel would benefit from this if you shared it with them. I also have a request that if you've been loving this, would you take like 20 seconds, maybe it's more like 60 seconds, and scroll down here if you're on iTunes and just hit the rate buttons, the stars, and leave me a review. I would be so honored, and it really helps the podcast get out in front of more people. So if you're willing to do that, I would just be so appreciated. Take a screenshot of it and send it to me, and then I'll put it on my podcast, and then you know what I should do is a giveaway. So I'll think of a good giveaway and you just do that, and I would love it. All right. So thank you so much. I will see you next time. And always remember, when you move, everything moves.